Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut this stylish corset blouse. If this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Let's dive right into today's video. So first I'm going to start by marking my basic measurement, which includes my shoulder to bust, my shoulder to under bust, and my shoulder to waistline. My shoulder to bust is 9 inches, shoulder to under bust is 12, shoulder to waist is 17 inches, and I'll be using the full length of my pattern paper as my blouse length. So after I'm done marking that, we'll move over to marking my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll be adding half to it because this dress has a sleeve. I'll come down by 1 inch, go ahead to connect this all the way to the shoulder, and after I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to place my tape and we'll be marking the chest line or the armhole line. To get that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Mine is 7 inches. I'll make a mark at that point. So at that 7 inches, I'll place my ruler and I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight line at that point. After I'm done drawing the straight line, I'll mark what I have on the shoulder on that same line. And from that point I'll be connecting it all the way to the shoulder point. After that, I'll divide what I have at that point into 2. That is my armhole divided by 2 this way, and I'll mark the half part of it, come in by ½ inch, and I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and from that point I'll connect to the midpoint of my armhole and take it up. So after I'm done doing that, I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll go ahead to mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern, and I'll take this also to the top length of my dress. So after that, I'll just go ahead to connect and draw a straight line all the way to the top length. So after I'm done doing that, I will be marking 1 inch on both sides of my under bust, and also repeat the same thing at the waistline and also at the top length. So after marking, I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect, drawing a straight line at both sides. After that, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to draw out. After that, I will go ahead to connect from my bust down to my under bust and also reconnect at the other side of my pattern. So now I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this. So I'll place my tape and come up by 1.5 inches. So this 1.5 inches is not a standard, it just depends on where you want your corset to start. So if you want yours to be a bit high, you can use 2 inches. I'll go ahead and mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 at this point also, and I will be marking 1 inch at both sides. And after that, I'll go ahead and reconnect. So if you're plus size, you can use 1.5 inches at this point. And after I'm done connecting my darts, I'm just going to go ahead to use my marker to outline it. So next, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake I have and I will replace it. Go ahead and add my sewing allowance. At the under bust, I'm going to be marking my under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. At the waistline, I'll take out 2 inches from my original waistline, which is 28, and I'll take out 2 inches. I'll have 26 divided by 4. I'll mark, measure the dart intake, and add my sewing allowance. At the top length, I marked my hip circumference divided by 4, measured the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. So that 2 inches I took out from my waistline is for me to snatch out the waistline of my pattern. So I'll just go ahead and connect all my pattern. So whatever I have on this part, I'll also repeat it at the other side. But first, I'll just go ahead and I will cut out my pattern. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have on both sides. Now we'll start from working on the neckline, which I'll mark 2.5 inches at the upper part, and after that I'll go down and mark 2 inches. From this point, I'll go ahead and connect it down to that same 2 inches, but when I'm connecting it, I'll make it a little curvy to look like what we have on the thumbnail. So I'll mark 0.25 or 0.5 inches. This is just to take out the gaping or bulginess at that point. So the same thing I did on the other part, I'll just go ahead and retrace it on this side, and also take out a little bulginess on the yoke of the dress. So this is what I have for this pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline it. So after I'm done outlining, we'll move over to working on the pattern. So you notice this line, this is actually the center when I fold my pattern into two. So I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides. Just like if you place your pattern on fold, you're going to mark ½ inch. So ½ inch on both sides will give me 1 inch. So from here, I'll blend in my pattern at this point, and I'll be cutting or marking this all the way to that chest line. So it's my chest line that I went in by ½ inch on both sides. On this part also, I'll blend in my pattern and I will connect. So this is what I have on this point, and I'll use my marker to outline it. So next, we'll go ahead to work on the other part of the cup. So from that ½ inch, I'm going to take it down a little, and after taking it down, I'm going to go ahead to place my curve drew, and I'm going to connect from that point down to my under bust, and also place and connect at the other side of my under bust this way, forming my cup for this part. And I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done outlining this, we're going to work on the other side of the cup. And for the other side of the cup, I'm going to be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'll add ½ inch to it. So I'll just place my tape from that point and do exactly like I said. My nipple to nipple divided by 2 is 3.5 plus half. I have 4 inches. Place my curve drew, and I'm going to connect all the way to the upper part. Now I'll also repeat this at the other side. Place and mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half, and I'll place my curve drew, connect it all the way up. After that, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this and also outline the other part of my cup. So I'll just go ahead and blend in my pattern at the upper part. So after I'm done blending in, I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust side dart, and to get that is your shoulder to waist at the front and your shoulder to waist at the back. The difference is what is your bust dart. So mine is 1.5 inches, and I will mark, and I will go ahead to connect it to my bust. At the other side of my pattern also, just like I said, I'll go ahead to repeat this at the other side of my pattern, and I'll be marking 1.5 inches. So how we got this 1.5 inches again is the difference between your shoulder to waistline at the front and your shoulder to waistline at the back. My shoulder to waist at the front is 17. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So the difference is 1.5 inches. So that is what is my bust dart, and I will go ahead to label this, and I will be working on the lower part of this pattern next. So at the lower part, I will measure about 5 inches all the way down, and I will be coming down about 2 inches or 3 inches from here. So because the length of my pattern paper is not so long, I marked 2.2. So I'll just go ahead and connect this all the way to this side of my pattern, and after that we'll be working on the other side. So from that point, I'll have about 5 inches all the way down. You can also have like 7 inches, but my pattern paper stopped there. So I'll go ahead to blend this over, and I will start connecting from this point to the other side of my pattern. So at the other side of my pattern, I'll be coming down by 4 inches from my waistline, and I'm going to go ahead to connect. So this other side we connected first was 5 inches, and here is 4 inches. So looking at the dress at the lower part, one point is a bit higher than the other side. So I'll just go ahead and connect to the end. Sorry, my camera did not show that part when I was connecting it, but you're going to be seeing it much later. So this is what I have on my pattern, and I'll go ahead to label my pattern this way. And the next step is just to also label the lower part so that you don't misplace the pattern. After cutting, this is what I have, and we'll go ahead to cut out the rest of the pattern. So before cutting out the other side, I'll go ahead and blend in the dart for this part. Then I'll just go ahead and cut out my pattern after I'm done blending in the dart. After I'm done cutting out, this is what I have, and we'll be heading over to the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I went ahead to mark out all the basic measurements, and I'll be cutting this as a 2-in-1 video, which will be showing how to use a zipper and also how to use a lacing bar for your back pattern, because I get a lot of questions on how to also make the dress have a zipper. So next, for the waistline for the back, remember we took out a bust dart from our front measurement, which is 1.5 inches. So making my waistline at the back 15.5. So the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5. I'll go ahead to mark this all the way down. So I'll be using this full length of this blouse, of this pattern paper, but later we'll be marking the length of our dress. So next, I'll go ahead and mark 1/2 inch at both sides of my pattern and come down by 1 inch at this point. After that, I'll go ahead to reconnect my dart and also reconnect at the other side of my pattern. Then come down by 4 inches for my waistline, and I'll go ahead to reconnect my dart and also mark at the other side. So now we'll be inserting our body measurement after this, but I'll just go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern. So after that, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, and at my waist, I'll mark the waist measurement I used for the front, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. So after that, I'll just go ahead to mark my hip circumference divided by 4 at the lower part and mark 1 inch also at my pattern paper. So now I'm going to connect from the chest line area to the bust to the waistline and also take it all the way to the lower part of this pattern, and I will reconnect. So you know, at the back pattern of this dress we have 2 lengths. One is 5 inches away from the waistline and the other one is 4 inches away from the waistline. So first we'll start with the one that is 5 inches from the waistline, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way. So here I marked 5 inches earlier, but I went up by 4 just to make or give it a stylish look at the zipper area of the pattern. So I'll just go ahead, use my marker to outline it. So here I'll go ahead and mark 2.5 inches and 2 inches just like we did for the front, and I'll go ahead to take out the bulginess at the back with 0.25, come down by 1/2 inch here, go ahead to connect this, and I'll extend this to the zipper area. So if you're using a zipper, you're going to be taking out a zipper bulge of 0.5 inches. Go ahead to take this all the way up, and you're going to also take it down to your pattern. After you're done doing this, your back pattern is ready, and you're just going to go ahead to cut this out. So after cutting this out, I'm also going to go ahead to work on the parts of the corset that doesn't make use of a zipper. So if you're making use of a zipper, this is okay. If you're not making use of a zipper, you're just going to mark the space or your lacing bar area immediately after your zipper. So I marked 2 inches and I drew a line, made a dot to indicate that is my zipper area, and you'll be cutting this out. So to use this pattern to cut the other side of your pattern, all you're going to do is mark 1 inch above and connect. This will serve as the part for the other side, and when you're cutting it, you're going to flip your pattern this way. So if you're also using a zipper, it's going to go along together, but if you're not using a zipper, all you have to do is flip it this way. And also remember to notch the area for your yoke. So with that, we have come to the end of today's tutorial, and also join us in our next video. Thanks.